please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Thank you all for coming. Welcome to the June board meeting. We've been on kind of a vacation. We didn't have a ops meeting this month for obvious reasons, for holiday reasons. The board felt that we didn't have enough to discuss. We knew what we'd be discussing today. Unless we have a large open forum, this should be a fairly precise board meeting. We are having an executive meeting after this, which will probably run into some more minutes. We're looking into some other things for next month, and so we're going to start our discussion in the executive meeting tonight. So let's get started. Okay, announcements. Clear Creek Conservancy. Dwayne Kelly.
Dwayne Kelly, 282 Patriot Landing. I don't have much. It looks like it's pretty well cast in stone that we're going to get some money from the American Rescue Plan. And it's written in light ink that we may get some from the READY program too. So that's the two programs that we're still in the running for. So we meet, so because of the way the month fell, we meet Thursday morning, same week you guys meet this month at 10 o'clock at the building. We're still waiting on the engineering firm to get us back the drawings and so forth, so we can start putting a bid package together to get ready to go out for bids.
Thank you, Dwayne. Floyd Township Fire Department, Jeff Brooks.
Jeff Brooks, Chief of Floyd Township Fire Department. We've got 27 runs in the month of May, and I want to remind everybody that at 5 o'clock on July 2nd, the dam will be shut down on both ends to allow fireworks to be set up.
Thank you. For the people watching, what does that actually mean, closing the dam?
You ain't gonna be able to cross it. No golf carts, no foot traffic.
That's July 2nd.
July 2nd at 5 o'clock.
5 o'clock for the
fireworks.
Okay, and then when does it reopen approximately? Do you know?
Last year it was about midnight.
Okay, thank you.
Kind of further explain on that is since we a couple years ago, since we enhanced our fireworks show, it has taken up more space. He can't get it all set up in that grass area, so he utilizes the street and across the street for the show. That's the reason he shuts it down a little earlier.
Okay. Neighborhood Watch.
No report.
Okay. HLCS.
No report.
Hellneck.
Chanceley, 65 Gettysburg. I'll report for Chaz Caddy. Our 8th annual book poker run information is now out there. There's virtual sign-ups for early registration, and the cost is $25 per person, and after August 10th, it's $30 per person. So you get that online. We will also have paper registration available pretty soon at the Marina and here in the POA office. Because our funds from the poker run go to our charitable gaming account, we've been able to help with the Hawkeye stage, but also especially to both of the shelters, Sheltering Wings and Beyond Homeless in Greencastle. So charitable gaming means that every year some of the income a majority of the income goes out for charities, so we want you to know that's where a lot of the money goes and is used for. Also, we will be having the cornhole tournament going on at the same time, and those registration papers will be out in the near future as well. Any questions?
Thank you, Jen. POA security,
I've got his.
okay? Ken?
There was 2 paper service, 2 911 hang up, 2 missing person. Subjects were located safely. 1 public service call, 5 alarms, 2 psychiatric calls, 12 traffic stops, 1 burglary, 1 suspicious person, 4 administration calls, 2 warrant service, 1 fraud, 1 harassment, 5 lockouts, 3 thefts, 1 domestic, 1 weapon complaint. You are not supposed to shoot off firearms at Heritage Lake. 2 child custody, 1 disturbance, 2 cardiac arrest, 1 civil matter, 1 assault, 1 animal complaint, and 1 arrest. And then one thing I want to add to it was there's a primary owner and an associate owner. Associate owner is just somebody that can be on the deed, that can have the right to fish out here. One individual that was verbally abusive to one of the security officers, so that person was refunded their assessment, their boat fee, and trespassed from the lake, and they are not welcome back. That's it.
Their sticker number is 0411.
They were missing 1 sticker, so it may be on another boat, I don't know.
Not that I memorized that. Okay. Garden Club. I don't see Anita, so there's no report there. I will say that as I've traveled around and looked at all the public areas that the Garden Club is assisting with, wow, things are really sharp this year. I mean, growing up, beautiful. Lots of colors. Marina looks cool. Thank you, Anita, and your group. Presentation of agenda. Presentation, the agenda is really small. Anybody have anything else that they wanted to add or delete? Okay, presentation of minutes. I'll take a motion.
Motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Unanimous. Treasurer's report. Mr. Stafford?
That's me. Treasurer's report. May 2022 accrued income for the month of May was $289,823 and 24 pennies. Total expenses for the month were $151,974 and 57 pennies, leaving a net income balance of $137,848 and 67 cents. Which brings us to year-to-date accrued income is $851,522.68. Total expenses year-to-date are $614,512 and 53 cents, leaving a net income balance positively of $237,010.15. And that's pretty typical this time of year, just because obviously boat fees are flying in and assessments are hopefully finally being paid and campground spots are being paid for and whatnot. So typically this time of year we see a big peak to carry us through. As of May 31st, our short-term cash, our checking account balance was at $884,575.98, and our total CD money market investments were $209,379 for a total of $1,093,955.42. So we did it. We made it over $1 million. Good job, guys.
Thank you, AJ.
Respectfully submitted. Back to you. Or to you. Who do I give that to? You? Her? Someone?
Okay, let's move on to board committee reports. A&E, John Reedy.
All right, for May, as you can read on, 5 houses were approved, a garage, 5 fences, 1 new dock, 1 dock with a lift, 2 decks, and a jet ski lift for a total of 16 approvals. That brings us year-to-date, especially the big number is the 35 houses year-to-date so far. A total of 87 approvals year-to-date so far through 5 months. So, other business that I've noted in your handout is PO 152 was granted a 6-month project extension due to a contractor issue not being able to give material. MS 211 asked for advice. That's when he first came in and asked for advice on his on putting a dock in there. And A&E did start last month discussions on the implementation of violations and fines, as well as notifications, enforcement, and appeal policies to be put in place going forward. So we've just started discussing that, and probably this week we'll probably finalize it, and then we'll probably come by your desk, Ken, for you to approve. Another thing we handled was pergolas. We've established a rule for pergolas. It's now called Rule 431. A pergola is defined as a fixed flat open-air structure without walls that is supported by vertical beams. All requests will be evaluated on a case-by-case basis with considerations given to both location, height, spacing of the slats, overall size, and harmony with neighboring lots. Applications should include a plot plan showing the adjacent roads, common areas, all structures currently on the property, like house, garage, deck, blah, 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 and the placement of the pergola, most importantly, with the length and the width clearly marked. Sometimes getting the length and width clearly marked slips through. So, and second, an elevation drawing. Elevation drawing is basically showing the height of it, number and size of vertical supports, the size of the lumber used for the slats, and spacing of slats. And probably the most important thing is, all will be requests and they'll be evaluated by A&E. So A&E wants to maintain some type of a standard look at what they're going to look like if they're going to build a pergola.
So once, since that will be a new rule, does the A&E committee want us to discuss and vote on that tonight for the first time, or do you guys still have some work to do?
Nope, that's it.
So you want to vote?
Yep,
Well, I guess I'll take a motion.
motion.
Second. What's the motion? Pass.
I think you moved to accept Rule 431.
As written.
All those in favor of accepting Rule 431 as written in front of you, raise your hand. Opposed? Unanimous? One of the reasons for that rule, for the audience's sake, is that we've run into some things with docks and roofs and over docks and roofs over boats and so on and so forth. And pergolas obviously are open and they don't fall into the same eye prevention of seeing the lake as a roof might. And there's never been a rule about pergolas. So it's come up lately that, something can be submitted for that, but we don't have a rule, so hence we have a rule now. That explain that?
That's about size of it up.
All right.
So, that's all I have.
Campground, Rick Stevens.
Rick Stevens. Monthly campground meetings this Saturday, which we will be discussing with all permanent campers, the cleanliness of their lots. We will revisit that again. Want to thank Ken for coming down and doing some trimming around the areas down there. And that's all we have this month.
We did have one little altercation last month.
And you handled that very well.
Breeze right on by that.
We,
I think Ken was at us, went right on back to bed.
too much to drink.
Again, Ken?
Not me.
No.
Not me.
All right, cleanup committee.
Nothing to report.
Okay. Government committee, Rick?
Not a lot of action at the commissioners' meetings. Milestone contract for the Heritage Lake HMA paving was submitted to NDOT, so that's in place. Crews reportedly have been out with their patching machine doing pothole repairs. Haven't seen them on my road yet, but they are supposedly doing that, and then dishing as well, where there's going to be road improvements in the future. I did correspond with Jim Peck, the county engineer, and he had a few things to say. The Putnam County is updating their comprehensive plan and unified development ordinance. It's a mouthful. Lisa Zahner, the planning director, would like to have a few residences from, at Heritage Lake to be part of the steering committee. Tentatively, Paul and Ken are going to be represent Heritage Lake on that committee. So more to follow on that. He did say pothole repair is ongoing. The chip and seal operation at Jefferson Valley, which is Lexington Drive and Delaware Drive, and also Gettysburg, which is County Road 800 East, should start around mid-August, according to Jim, and we'll get more information as that gets closer. The HMA paving on Heritage Drive should start mid-July, assuming all the contracts are in place and whatnot with Milestone. And then, Jim evidently is working with Jeff Brooks on getting the road closed signage for the 4th of July celebration. He did mention that as well. So that's all I have to report. Any questions?
I am glad they ground down the speed bump going out of the lake, of that end, the south end. If you're going out towards that first curve, you must not have hit it. They tried to fix a spot in the road, and it was like a speed bump. Oh, it was awful.
Maybe we need more of those. All right, thank you.
I would, the only thing I would say about and maybe we can bring this up sometime when we're in a private meeting with the new engineer, is he acts like he's gotten a report from past road people from Putnam County that, it's a never-ending battle with these potholes. I don't know, you know more about this than I do, and there's other people that probably know more about it than I do. However, to come up to a pothole that has dirt in it and throw asphalt on it and then rely on the cars to run over it and get it packed in, I'm not sure that he's ever going to have potholes stay. I mean, there is, I think, a way to do that so that to give him more of a chance to stay in the hole for a couple days.
Yeah.
And so that might be something we discuss with them.
Yeah.
Maybe he doesn't know how they're doing it. I don't know.
Well,
But I've watched them.
they use that thing called the total patcher,
Mm-hmm.
and I guess they spray an emulsion down.
Okay.
And then they put a mixture of emulsion and aggregate
Okay.
in behind that, and then dry, or just straight aggregate on top of that, so you can drive on immediately. Now, I was reading a little bit about it this morning, and some people actually compact that, but I don't believe they do. And the manufacturer doesn't say that you need to compact it
Okay.
either. So,
Okay.
I've never seen a packer out there.
Well, no, they don't. But I've never seen the the extent to what you just described either.
Yeah, it's my machine.
No, they're using.
I'm
cold
talking
patch
about, I'm talking
down the
about
back of a dump truck.
how they patch the holes. You just described something that wasn't what I saw. So,
Supposedly, that's what they're using.
They
Okay.
shovel it out of the back of the dump truck that's tipped up.
Yeah.
And it's just cold patch.
And that's what, yeah.
Doesn't do
That's
anything.
what doesn't.
That's
work.
like putting
yeah,
sand in it.
You might
and they
as well
just
put
throw it on
53
top of
in
the
it.
hole.
Yeah.
So,
This thing looks pretty nifty. I've never seen it in operation before.
Just drive into Fillmore, they've done the whole road from Fillmore out to Greason's. Evidently run out of a truckload because they stopped right there, but they've used that device where they spray.
Oh, yeah?
All the way out. They practically covered the whole road.
Yeah, you can cover a lot of area with it.
okay,
It has a lot of good uses.
thank you.
They even do it like alligator cracking. They'll spray it on that and supposedly it holds, so.
Okay. Okay, Lake Committee,
I can report on that.
okay?
Excuse me. At the last meeting, the treasurer's report was discussed, and their bank balance is still healthy enough for them to operate comfortably, at least I think so. But it is significantly smaller than it used to be since they donated $16,000 for our docks at the Marina. I did thank them profusely on our behalf for that, by the way. Charlie Land reported on bass tournaments. The May tournaments reported they were catching a lot of fish, and I think they still are. Charlie also clarified that the kids tournament will be on July 17th. We talked about Fish, Ski, and Fun. They've got a number of sponsor donations. They can always use more, but Mary Petruzzi and others are deep into the planning for events and the silent auction for the Fish, Ski, and Fun, July 23rd. And the last time I spoke with Mary, she's still looking for more merchandise donors for the silent auction, but that is up and running. And if you need to know how to access it, you can, of course, contact Mary or me, and we'll make sure you know how to get there and place your bids. Talk about merchandise. They put new merchandise in the Marina, and most of it is sold out. So they are now working on getting another order of merchandise in the Marina for us. And I think that's all the important business.
Thank you, Rick. Clean water, Phil McKinley's not here. I'm assuming there's no report on that. Long-term planning, Summer?
Last month, we met with, as part of our emergency preparedness initiative that we're working on, we met with Jeff Brooks to talk about how we can work with the fire department in the event of an emergency. He gave us all kinds of information that we did not know, so it was really nice to be able to talk to him and know, like, they have 12 beds at the firehouse, they have showers, they have a kitchen, they have all kinds of stuff, and how, in the event of emergency, how we can inform people to go there. So it was great to talk to him, and we really appreciate, I know he's not here anymore, but we really appreciate him coming. And we have set, I hope, Chris and Darcy to come to this next meeting on Wednesday at 6 o'clock here to talk with us about Putnam County CERT and how they can help in the event of an emergency, and how we can all work together so we're not stepping on each other's toes.
All right. Thank you, Summer. Siltation.
William Kelly, 282 Patriots Landing. We will not be having a siltation meeting in June. We're just treading water, waiting on, if it ever quits raining, so Shannon can get started on the North Silt Basin up there. So our next meeting will actually be July the 29th.
Thanks, Dwayne. Election committee, no report. Managers report, Ken?
All right, the new dock extending from the gas pumps to the new floating dock is almost complete. We're hoping that'll be completed by Wednesday. Once that is completed, we will begin rebuilding the single dock on the other side of the beach. That will be able to park 2 boats. That one should be much easier to reconstruct, and it should be done pretty quickly. I'd also like to thank the Aspire Group for their determination to have the Hawkeye Storage Event Center completed in time for the first concert Memorial Weekend. They worked nonstop to make this happen for the community. I'd like to thank them for their extra efforts in making this happen. This past weekend, luckily was not a good weekend for pool weather, but the reason for the closure was a probe that was not working properly, therefore not giving us a passing water test. We were not allowed to reopen until repairing and passing a water test. It takes 48 hours to get a passing water test. We fast-tracked it over the weekend and was able to open up this morning instead of Wednesday. So my apologies for that, and thank you for your patience. Like to speak to the community and anybody listening that we have got a huge dog problem out here with dogs being nuisance. And I really I'm asking for your help before we kind of take the next step, but I get these little stick-em notes all day long about dog complaints. So if you have a dog or dogs, if you have a dog that does not stop barking, your neighbors do not want to listen to your dog barking throughout the day or the night. Please put your dog inside your own home and let them bark all they want. My time is not being used very efficient when I deal with the amount of nuisance dog complaints that I receive on a daily basis. If you have a neighbor with a dog that won't stop barking, please address it yourself before calling the office. Basically what is happening is they call the office and they want to make a dog complaint, but don't tell them who calls. You know, it's not my job to play that game. If I'm going to call you about your dog, I'm going to let that person know who they're offending. So please address it yourself first. Having an animal that prevents one from enjoying their property is considered a nuisance. And if it's not resolved by the dog owner, I'm going to start requesting the board of directors to exercise their authority to order the dog to be removed from the property within 15 days. That is per the general rule book, page 8, under the pets and companion animals. So I would hope people take care of the dog before we go through this court order process, but I can't continue to get 10 a week. I mean, it's gotten ridiculous. The lake has gotten much larger. People bring in their dogs. I fail to see the reason why people have 4 and 5 dogs, but some do. But in such a small community, but those are the ones that are causing the problems. So finally, with the storm we had yesterday, I don't know if anybody has seen the Lincoln Beach. It is destroyed. There is a wedding there this weekend, so we're going to do everything that we can to get it fixed. And Thursday we'll probably, if we don't get no more rain, Thursday we'll try to make that happen. But it's just too wet right now to get, it's going to take 2 triaxle loads of sand to get, it's just all got washed back into the water. The whole place is a mess. I'll probably caution it off tomorrow morning, just to keep people away from it, because it's just not fit to even be on. So just be patient with us. There's a lot of work that needs to be done. Rick and I was out on the water today and took off a bunch of debris out of the water, but there's a lot more to be had, and we can't do it all in one day. So just give us a chance. We will get it all taken care of, get it whipped back into shape for the next flood to come through. But the Lincoln Beach is a mess, and just be patient with us. We'll try to get it taken care of by this weekend. So that's all I have.
Thanks, Ken.
And I think Rick Miller has something to add to this.
Yeah, I just need to dovetail onto that with a request I had from the concert committee regarding the Hawkeye Storage Events Center. They asked me to make sure that the board communicates with all of our committees and clubs and general public that it is not just the appropriate thing to do to call it that, the Hawkeye Storage Event Center, because they made a huge donation to make it happen for us. But we're also contractually obligated to call it that. So in flyers, when you have an event, please make sure you name it properly as a courtesy and a requirement. Okay.
Thank you. Old business, Marina dock parking.
Last time?
Maybe the last time.
Last time?
Well, maybe we'll just change it to just marina parking and just start talking about the
That's a good
parking
idea.
lot.
Yeah.
So, I've seen a lot of people using the dock in and out. I have not personally used the dock yet. Just haven't been doing anything fun yet, so maybe this landscape will slow down a little bit and rain will quit. But everybody seems to be enjoying it from what I've heard. I haven't heard a ton of feedback, positive or negative. I've just seen a bunch of boats over there. If anybody else has information to share, or if there's something we could do better or worse or different or whatever.
The new lighting looks great.
That's what I was saying. Rick's
I was gonna
picture
say,
was
the picture
awesome.
of lighting did look good.
I use it, worked great for me.
There you
Yeah.
go. Even you could dock there.
Even I can do it.
I mean, if John can dock there.
I'm not docking my boat
I even
there.
got out at the right door of my boat too, so.
We keep walking on it because it's fun. It's just cool.
Now, do you have, is your guy sent the thing yet? In the car, in the?
We're about the last sticker that needs to get made. Yeah, well, this is not a right now time thing to talk
Okay,
about.
all right. We'll talk about that later.
Something along this same topic is the recognition plaque for the
Uh-huh.
people that donated towards it. I'm poised to go ahead and order that. I've got the list of all the names as of a couple of weeks ago. I gotta see if any more names have been added, but as long as we're ready to say we're done, go ahead and order the plaque, I can make it happen. I'm recognizing everyone, no matter the amount of the donation. I've got the businesses identified, the individuals identified, and there's a total, I think, of like 31 right now.
Okay.
And unless April has added a couple more in the last couple of weeks, I'm ready to pull the trigger on it.
Okay,
And it's gonna be a plaque very similar to what's out in the hallway.
Okay.
You know, just a recognition plaque with all the names of people, and my understanding is that's gonna go up in the marina. Where did you order it? That from, who you recommended, Greencastle.
okay.
Yeah.
Is it gonna have-
I haven't ordered it yet.
Okay. Is there a space below where these names are going that we could add later? If,
Well,
for instance, after you put the plaque?
I talked about that with the owner of the
Okay.
trophy shop, and he did not recommend having a plaque that kind of goes on forever, where you just add names as in future years for parking lot donations. He thought it would be best to just go ahead and have one recognition plaque for this major kickoff dock situation.
Okay.
And if we want to do something different next year, then we just do something different. Again, and the cost is involved too, because if you do the type of plaque where you have to add plates every year, that's more expensive than getting a one-time snapshot plaque with engraved names on it. We'll save money that way.
Just let me know when you need it paid for.
Okay, yeah.
Anybody have any questions? Okay. Excuse me. Old business. New business. We are moving on to MS 211 variants. You all have a handout there in front of you. I guess this is, we're back to John Reedy again, stealing the show tonight.
I think everyone's gotten a copy of this, have they not? A copy of the variance. Obviously, A&E denied it because of the rules that are in place for clearance insofar as some of the codes. I will say we discussed it quite at length because it is not the last position, but it's the second last position, and it's actually Joe Mineta right next door to Joe Mineta. So
Does everybody know who Joe Mineta is?
Joe is our A&E.
He used to be.
Oh.
He is a member of the A&E, but he has been with the A&E for a long time. He's an ex-chair.
Yep.
Very knowledgeable about A&E.
And even though he's listed as ex-chair, he's still very involved in, so anyhow, Joe is this guy's neighbor. Joe is one position further out towards the water in the cove, out from the cove towards the water than this gentleman is. So there's one more spot past this guy. Now the clearance, what he's asking for is 20 feet, or 19.6 I think it is. And that's actually placing a lift in. So that's what he's looking to do, not actually add to the dock, but he actually wants to put a lift in. I'm somewhat, one of the things I kind of learned, I heard this before on another variance. We were granted someone variance and they supposedly got approval from the neighbors, from two of the neighbors, which he never did. And I won't say which one it was, but that has happened in the past. And this gentleman still hasn't made contact with his neighbor, Tony. And I would have felt a whole lot better from a board position if we at least seen, or Tony would have come to a meeting and said, I don't have a problem with it. So.
I am 211.
You are 211.
211. So,
Did Tony?
Yeah, we've spoken to Tony multiple times. He just has not written the letter, and I know that may be necessary. For the record, we did have discussion with him with Joe present yesterday, and he gave a verbal approval then. But he has not written a letter yet as of this meeting. So he is currently dealing with 207 at the end of who had built on his property on the other side, and I think that that is consuming most of his bandwidth right now. So, but he said he has multiple times has told us he has no issue with this. But if, I don't know, the approval is contingent on a letter from MS 210 or Tony. But Joe was present yesterday during the discussion when he said he had no issue. But I know that was after your meeting when my husband was at the A&E committee meeting 2 weeks ago. So. Yeah, and
I was actually going to propose that if I'd made a motion, that it would be pending getting approval from Tony. So.
What is your time frame? If you were, for instance, if you were approved tonight,
as far as
putting the lift placed.
We're flexible there. If that helps in any way. I'm not sure. You know, we're hoping by the end of this summer, but if we don't even know what would be available for someone to put in. So, we just bought this property a few months ago.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So if I'm reading this right, which I would probably suggest prior to at least my vote, a better drawing.
I don't know which ones you have. We've submitted a few. So.
Okay.
That's the one Matt just sent us.
Now is this
last week? So,
if I'm reading this correct, you're building a deck on your land.
The deck is already there.
Oh, the deck's already there.
The deck and dock are there. We are actually going to remove part of the dock and put the
lift where that dock is removed.
Kind of at the end of that dock. I think that's the one. Yeah.
the small deck that you have on the.
Yeah.
I guess it'd be west.
Yes.
At the inside of the cove, yeah.
That's the second one?
Actually, the second one is showing the lift in place. There's two drawings there. In one, there should be two there, and one shows a drawing, and all it shows is a sidewalk, and it has a little note on there, it says remove. So that's what Matt wants to do, is remove that little walkway, and that's where the lift would go. Have you ordered a lift yet?
No,
Okay,
no, we were waiting for approval.
okay.
So for you to dock your boat, will you have to come into the cove, turn around and come back in to park?
No, we were gonna just go straight in
And this way.
Okay.
like, yeah,
Back out.
back out, yeah.
And then they back out.
Okay. I didn't know which side the
Yeah,
body of
yeah,
water
that's
was.
like
Now, this is a better picture of it here. The main body's out. That's one of the reasons why I think the drawing needs to be a little bit more concise. This is the main body out here.
And to give you an idea, the property straight across from you is the guy that owns that big point right there.
his
And he's got
house is
everything out on the
side of
end
peninsula, yeah,
of the water.
right,
And I did go to the other side,
yeah,
because actually I looked at that side when Kathy and I were first looking at a place to buy.
yeah.
And there's 4 in there on the other side. So in other words, the point's over here, and then there's another cove right here, and there's 4 in there. And it's at least as narrow, if not more narrow,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
Now I realize, like Joe stated, you know, a lot of those docks are already grandfathered in, and that they've always been there, so, and this happens to be a new one. And now I did get the feeling from A&E, of all the members from A&E, and they support it, so,
They support.
The variance.
they support the variance, yes.
So what's the rule, 10% of the code?
Yeah, yeah, and so that would need, they'd have to buy 77 more feet of land over on the other side.
Our lift would
so.
be our piece. Which might be convenient.
They'd be sitting on the other guy's property,
Yeah.
so, yeah.
I think we need a letter.
I would like to see a letter from all the property
Everybody.
owners that would be affected, the one across the way and the one deeper in the cove.
I just don't see how this is different than the one that we did not approve on the north end.
If he put a boat lift in the north end, could you get by with your boat?
I mean, it would be hard. And
There
wouldn't
was-
this be hard?
Well, it's 20 feet
It's
long.
20 feet,
Like
It's
about
19 feet between the lift and the other shore.
And that's not seeing the lift right against the dock, we all know.
Yeah.
And the next door neighbor further in has a lift with a boat that would be the same. Is that correct?
Tony?
Yes.
Tony, yeah.
does not have a boat, he has no intention of getting a boat.
Oh, okay.
I guess the question would be for the future is,
Yes.
that person that,
I understand, yeah.
that Tony's
I
house
don't want to
goes up
affect
for
his
sale.
property value at all,
Right.
that's not my
Tony's house
intention.
goes up for sale, and now Tony wants a boat lift. Are we setting a, potentially, a problem for him now, if in the future he decides?
All variances have to be explored that way.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a tough one in there. Isn't there another one that's further in too, or is Tony the last one?
Tony should be the last one, 207 should not be there.
It's the one with the concrete thing?
Like,
Now,
I'm looking at it.
We don't know that yet,
Okay,
okay?
okay,
And the reason I say that is because we've addressed that a few years ago.
okay.
And during that address, there were promises from other landowners that there was going to be a land sold to somebody to make that appropriate, and we don't know if that ever happened. We do know, or we think, that maybe the proper procedures weren't followed, but we're going to look into that.
Okay,
We don't know the answers to that right now.
so as of now, though, 210 is the end of the code, right? Essentially?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay,
uh-huh.
The discussion at one time was, there's a a blue home
Right.
with got a lot of waterfront.
Right.
The 207 had stated that the guy from the blue home was gonna sell him a portion of his property to allow him to do that.
Okay.
You know, like Paul said, whether that happened, I'm not sure.
But, and now he has passage, even with a boat parked, they used to have a pontoon parked outside of this dock. And our boat is parked outside of the dock, and the boat has no issue getting in and out. The one 207 has no issue getting in and out of the cove when we're parked there, for the record.
That 207, now I do remember looking into it clear back in the 70s. There's a concrete wall
Yes,
there.
there is.
Back in the 70s, there was some written documentation from somebody, if I'm not mistaken, that allowed that person back then to cut into it and make a concrete, yeah.
Okay.
So that's not something that the current owner did. That was something that was done clear back in the 70s.
So Paul, when you took your boat back there,
I did not take my boat.
You
I
did
just
not.
stayed
We
on the
walked
dock.
it.
I would like to do that myself.
Okay, that was number 2 on my list for the things that need to happen here before we, I hesitate having a motion made tonight. And I hesitate that because I'm not really convinced that this drawing, if somebody looked at this drawing 5 years from now, they'd say, well, why did you ever approve this? I can't logically approve it by the drawing. I was out there today, and what I saw that could make sense for a variance, if I was the only one that had to give the variance, doesn't even match this drawing. So, and I was gonna make suggestions just the opposite of what the drawing had. Because the cove is wider as you go towards the main body, but your lift is going even further back into the cove, and the cove narrows as it goes back.
And we had 2 options. I don't know if we brought them both up to A&E. Like,
No,
that was-
not,
okay.
we
There was
we
one
did
that
bring
was
them up at the
further.
meeting at A&E
That was
was,
in the wider part too. But,
Right.
Yeah. And if we had to resubmit for that one, then we certainly could. We were just.
I think there's more investigation that needs to go on before the board can actually vote on a variance. And I would suggest that no one bring up a motion tonight, because if you get denied, you're done. And I really think there needs to be more homework done. And I think the board members at least should stop by 211 and go out and walk on that dock. But the first thing that needs to happen really is to decide where you want this and draw it out. And maybe go out there with Joe and John and talk about where this lift should be, because with the way I saw it, the way we thought it was going to be, I kind of looked at a straight line, and your line on that boat lift was going right down the straight line of the boat lifts on the way to the main body, which meant that anybody coming into that cove would just think it was there forever because there's plenty of room. But as you go down that cove, you shorten that. And right now, we've just had 4 inches of rain, so your cove is wider than it's going to be once you put that lift in.
Is this your permanent resident, or is it a weekend?
It's our secondary.
Okay, just didn't want to walk out there and get shot or something.
No, we don't do that.
Okay.
All right, so a letter for Tony would help as well.
Absolutely, and I think, I think that getting something from your neighbor across the cove on what he's done up to now and what he plans on doing in the future, I mean, obviously, his docks and boat lifts are at the end of his property, and there's just nothing but the riprap on the other side of the cove. And that's what I think you guys need to see for yourself.
Yeah, I'm with Summer. I mean, for me to vote intelligently, I gotta get on my boat and I gotta go out there and look at it, so.
Another thing I see missing on the drawing is, you have the exact measurements of the boat lift and the exact measurements of the dock, and you have the boat lift right up against the dock. And I'm wondering, have you spoken with someone who installs these boat lifts, who has informed you that you can't ever get the boat lift snug up against the dock? 'Cause
They're
it's not
actually-
built in, right? Your
They're
boat
actually-
lift is not built in?
Excuse me, they're actually, that's why the drawing needs to be changed. They're actually, the drawing that shows the lift
Yeah.
is overlaying the dock that's gonna be removed.
Yep.
Okay.
So they're actually,
And then, I mean, we have to have someone come out there.
Oh, so your
So-
dock is going to be closer to the bank?
They're gonna take the dock out.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
but
they're
how, what are you getting on
Right.
when
We
you,
were
when
gonna
you
place
get
it
off the
higher.
boat?
We were gonna place the dock higher on the bank.
On the land?
And if we had to dig, I think we wanted to make sure this was even possible before going, through, and that's why we went to A&E committee, and they were like, well, you probably need to talk to you all to see if it was even possible before going through all of them.
Okay,
So if we need to go through maybe a more detailed drawing, we can certainly do that. We just wanted to know what, we didn't want to waste your time or our time on it, so.
sounds good.
Can I ask an A&E question?
Yes, you can.
So, I mean, this was denied by A&E, and that's just because it doesn't follow the rules, so automatically,
Right.
I get it now. Okay, all right.
That's
'cause it
the
doesn't
beginning of
follow
the
our rules.
application for
Right.
variance.
It's just always like, A&E didn't approve it, and I don't
Right.
want to go against them, so.
Did you explore the opportunity to maybe have Shannon dredge that out with the barge like we had talked about before?
Yeah, not yet. I know they went through and dredged it recently. Our neighbors told us, Tony told us that they came through and dredged some a little bit there, but I have not.
Well, that was siltation. I mean, that's just clearing
Yeah.
dirt out of the lake
You
to
mean
cut into your
to
hill.
cut into the hill a little bit, we hadn't yet.
I believe there was a note on the plan saying something about your well is close to,
Our well is, if we had to dig like 20 feet into our hill, yes, we would. Our well is on that side, up on, yeah, again, it's hard without you see the property, but it kind of goes straight up, and then our well is kind of right up there. So I'm sure it's graded properly to make sure everything, goes the right way. So it would take somebody who knows what they're doing to come out here.
okay.
Yeah, there was another option discussed, and that was actually moving more of the bigger dock,
Yes.
cutting that out, because that was gonna gain, I don't know, 5 or 6 feet, something like that.
Yeah.
And that would be a second option if the variance didn't pass, so.
Okay, so let me try and make a suggestion here. We need some alternatives, and we need them to be clearer than what we have. We need to know what your neighbors think about the alternatives that you come up with, feasible alternatives. Obviously, this cove is not big enough to abide by A&E rules. However, to convince this board to give you a variance, I think you need to have precise plans, and both you and your husband need to agree that either one of those plans will work for you, and maybe get Shannon to give you some expertise on what can and could happen for you and how much it costs, so you can make up your mind, and the neighbors' opinions about that, and then bring it back to the board.
All right, so.
A&E has already kind of voiced their opinion that they think it's okay to go, and that probably has a lot to do with Joe's feeling about that cove, because he lives on that cove. So, but as a board, we need to be convinced. In the meantime, once we get those drawings, we can email them to the board members. They can go out there in their own boats, see what your plan is, and then make a logical decision. Is that fair?
Yep.
I think that's excellent.
So
Okay.
can we submit more than one idea? Is that what you're
Absolutely,
saying? Okay.
absolutely. Okay?
Tracy, do you need contact information for the gentleman in the blue house?
I do, yeah,
Okay.
I have not met him yet, so that would be
Okay.
helpful.
Really nice guy. It's a weekend home. He's from Muncie, so
Okay.
if you hang tight, I'll just get you that information.
Yeah, one thing we discussed with A&E, not with your husband there, was just how, even though he's not using, the present guy isn't using that rock on
That
the other
shoreline,
side, that
right.
shoreline, it doesn't mean that he you know, you almost have to have a letter from
Well,
him.
we
as
just
well.
try, you know, we're getting closer and closer to imagining what happens in 10 years in these decisions. You know, to make a decision today is one thing, but to have somebody sue us 10 years from now because we made the wrong decision, that's what we're trying to avoid.
Cross your Ts. Make sure you got everything, yeah.
Okay, and thanks for coming.
Thank you.
I appreciate it, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to move to the open forum, and there's two things I would like to just suggest to everyone. One, if you are giving a committee report, or if you're giving any kind of report during the meetings, we've gotten kind of away from standing up, giving us your name and your lot number. Whether you're a committee chair, or you're reporting for somebody else, or what have you, I'd like to see that happen for the sake of the people that are watching this on TV. They'd like to know who you are and where you live, and that you actually are a homeowner. Secondly, I would like the same courtesy during the open forum. Please stand, give your name, and be respectful, and state your case. Yes, sir. You were the first hand that came up. Sorry.
I gotta be quick. Dwayne Kelly, Chairman of the Facilitation Committee, 282 Patriot Landing. And that Chairman of the Facilitation Committee, I said, I don't know this situation, I don't know what the code number is. I go by code numbers, so I don't know. It's code 4, it was cleaned out this year. But I want everybody to understand that if you deviate from the rule and regulations, the 10%, that if there's a case that you can get a 8-foot pontoon boat past the end of the dock, boat lift, whatever it is, you have to understand the contractor, we don't have a 10-foot pontoon. We got big heavy equipment that has to get back in there. So you have to remember that when you're doing variations on these codes, you got to think not only can I get my little fishing boat by there, but can our contractor get equipment in there in case it needs to be cleaned out the next time?
Can we get, for the A&E committee's benefit and our benefit, the width of the small barge that has to get back in that cove, and how close he has to get?
Well, the other thing that comes in is the facilitation regulation is that we will not let the contractor, we will not pay for the contractor to clean anything out any closer than 10 feet from a boat lift, a dock, because we don't want the contractor to go in and clean out and somebody's dock collapse and take them back to the facilitation committee and say, hey, you caused my dock to collapse. So if you want anything within 10 feet of anything that's in the water cleaned out, that's between you and the contractor. Facilitation stays out of it within 10 feet of any structure.
So this is something to consider, because if this lift were to be placed in there with a variance, and there's 19 feet from the end of the lift to the other shoreline, then there's only going to be 9 feet cleaned out of that.
If he can even get in there.
Well, he'll be able to get to there for the 9 feet.
Well, the other thing is when you say
10 feet from both.
from the dock to the shoreline, you're talking the shoreline.
Well,
The bottom of the lake comes out
the barge is 17
from the
feet wide.
shoreline.
I just asked him, it's 17 feet wide.
I'm not. talking
Shannon's small
against
barge
it or
is
anything.
17
I'm
feet
just
wide.
Wanting to make this board at least aware that, you know, you could create a problem.
Okay, thank you for that.
18 feet wide.
Put your hand up.
Yes, ma'am,
Am I called upon?
you are.
Chris Schaefer, 283 Victory Hill. First of all, I want to thank the board. You guys are all doing just a fantastic job. All the improvements this year and towards the end of last year with respect to the restaurant, the marina, the dock, the boat parking, The parking lot, you guys took a lot of heat for a little bit until people settled down, actually started using it, and everything seems to be working great. I love the new sign going into the Marina with the Psalms on it. I don't know when that went up, but I just noticed it a couple days ago. And
Friday.
you guys gotta start taking credit for that stuff. Post it out there. Get some good kudos from people, because it's really, really well deserved. As you may or may not know, I'm involved in Putnam County's Project Lifesaver program, and that is a program that's basically an advanced search and rescue team that works with people with cognitive conditions like Alzheimer's, dementia, autism, and Down syndrome, traumatic brain injuries, people that have cognitive conditions that impair their ability to recognize and avoid danger, and they also oftentimes have a propensity to wander and are drawn to water. A whole combination of very dangerous things. So on May 21st, my team came out over to the dam area and also at the marina, and we conducted a search and rescue drill that simulated what would happen if one of our Putnam County clients did go missing. How would we respond? How quickly would it take? How well did our equipment function under kind of difficult terrain, bouncing off, our signals bouncing off the conservancy buildings. I think overall the drill went really, really well. It taught us a lot, and I think it was a really successful time. So I'd like to thank Dwayne Kelly and the Clear Creek Conservancy for allowing us to tromp around on Clear Creek property for part of the day. I know Jeff isn't here right now, but Jeff Brooks and the Floyd Township Volunteer Fire Department, we were also tromping around on their property for a little bit. At the Marina, we were doing the same thing. And I'd like to congratulate Ken Roselle as one of the electronic search specialists who got recertified as a result of participating in that drill, along with Darcy Schaefer, myself, and about 3 or 4 other of our team members. Lastly, if anybody is aware of anybody that you think might benefit, your friends, neighbors, family members that might benefit from this program, even if they don't live in Putnam County. It's an international organization. I have a ton of information. I'm just itching to share it. We're at a point now where we're going to be starting to recruit members of Putnam County in the community that might benefit from this program, so we'll be looking for that. So thank you everybody who participated, and congratulations Ken and Darcy.
If I might add a little to that, for anybody that would be in need of one, this equipment works. We had that test that day. We had no idea who was placed out in the woods, where they were at. We had no clue anything. We just had to trust and listen to our device. And I found the first person in
4 minutes?
4 minutes.
Yeah, 4 minutes.
The next person was placed in an area that really kind of puzzled us, because we were getting some really inconsistent signals, but you had to trust it and follow it, and it was around the Clear Creek Conservancy building. The building was, I took the control to where it was leading me, and then all of a sudden it just started getting really weak, like I was going in the, but I just had to keep trusting it where it led me to, and the person was on the other side of the building. Just knowing that that person was supposed to be autistic, and in my training from law enforcement, I knew that an autistic person is drawn to water. So that's what made me trust that signal and go to the water. And sure enough, on the other side, and we found that person in
that was about 14 minutes.
Okay.
That was a little longer because of the signal distortion bouncing off the buildings. And each one of those search practices, there were 3 separate ones, included 2 teams of 2 and 1 team of 1 person, each with a receiver that was trying to locate the signal off that one transmitter, coming at it from different vantage points. So their success in hearing that signal varied depending on what direction they were coming from. So it's more of a triangulated search. You can pinpoint the location a lot more quickly. I also need to thank Arlene Richmond and April Land, who agreed to pose as our actors, one with dementia and one with autism, and they were given very specific instructions on what types of behavior to exhibit, and they did a little bit overboard. They overachieved for sure, but there were no awards given for that, but they knocked it out of the park, and they really helped us be better. So it was a really good couple of hours spent for sure.
But the
So
point
thank you.
is, it works. So if you have somebody that is in need of us locating them, if they ever wander off, I'm totally convinced that it works.
I think everybody that participated was really pleased with how well it did work, because we had previously been trained in a very controlled environment, an open field. It's pretty easy. There's not a lot of variables that impact it. It was a crappy weather day, so we had some rain, we had some weather, we had some cloud cover, we had a lot of different conditions that we hadn't faced before with the equipment. So I think everybody felt a whole lot better afterwards, knowing that it was really successful, and I think we're ready now to confidently say that we can go out and find people that are enrolled in this program. So thank you everybody who participated and supported.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you, Chris.
Tom?
Tom Novak, 25 Mill Springs. I have two little announcements. The first one, the American Red Cross wants to thank the Heritage Lake community. At the June 1st blood drive, 47 units of blood were collected.
Hey.
5 people were first-time donors. Those 47 units of blood can save potentially 141 lives. 141 lives. And just to be aware, the next blood drive will be in early January. So I'd like to give the Heritage Lake members who donated a round of applause. The second item I have deals with the Heritage Lake Charlie Beard Memorial Scholarship Program. That program, something funny?
Yeah, what he just told me. Go ahead.
Yeah, just tore something up.
The Heritage Lake Charlie Beard Memorial Scholarship Program annually offers $1,000 scholarship awards. Those are offered through the Putnam County Community Foundation, but the recipients are determined by the Heritage Lake Charlie Beard Selection Committee. And they're awarded to graduated seniors on a competitive basis for volunteer community service that benefits directly or indirectly Putnam County residents, with special emphasis on service hours earned that benefit Heritage Lake. And just a shout out to all committees, for example, homemakers, lake committee, any committee that has an upcoming event that they have opportunities for these individuals to participate in. Those committees should contact either myself at area code 765-386-2077. That's 765-386-2077, or Jan Salee at 317-730-0543. 317-730-0543. And the reason being is those committees would contact Jan. Jan has a list of the text email addresses of the students who are applying. So Jan would then contact the students and let her know that the opportunity is available. Just as an example, the Heritage Lake Homemakers, here's another plug, on July 2nd, we'll have a breakfast at the clubhouse. They're going to contact Jan and ask for volunteers, student volunteers, that would want to help the homemakers serve the breakfast, clean up for the breakfast, etc. So any committee who is listening, if they're going to have an activity, lake committee, feast, ski, and fun, if they would like some participation by some of these scholar recipients or requestees, they should contact myself or Jan. And lastly, the committee is looking for new members. If anybody is interested, we're going to have a meeting on June 21st at 3 p.m. right here in the clubhouse. That's June 21st, 3 p.m. If you're interested, please come out and join us. Thank you.
Tom? Anyone else? Okay, last thing I have, the A&E committee, which has been discussed several times tonight, is looking for some volunteers, which that word has been used tonight several times. A&E committee is probably one of the most important committees out here. It also meets twice a month, so there's some dedication involved there. We're looking for some people that would like to be part of the A&E committee. It's a very well-structured committee these days, and they approve every piece of construction and remodeling at Heritage Lake, which is a great place to be, so you know what's going on a weekly basis. So they're looking for volunteers. And speaking of volunteers, we're about halfway through the year. So we'd love to see some people run for the board next year and get some new blood in here to engage yourselves in helping the community. Thank you all for coming, and I'll take a motion.
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned, and we will have a 5-minute break and then go into the executive meeting.